This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from The Perfect REA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. On Monday, Matt and Micah took a deep dive into the 7 things that you need to stop doing so that you can move towards success. They said that you have to get better at saying no to activities. The guys get a lot of opportunities to help people, but they realize that with every opportunity they're seizing, they're not giving their attention to something else. They said that every time they say yes to something, they're saying no to something else. And the question is, are they being intentional with that no? And this is also the example that you're setting for your team and your family. So let's recap the 7 things you need to stop doing. Number 1, stop dreaming about prospects instead of actually seeing prospects. Look at what levers you can pull every day that will get you towards seeing prospects. And what can you start tracking versus just dreaming about? Because tracking is going to make things evident. You need to rely on data and what actually works versus what you think will work. Number 2, stop getting alerts on your phone and computer. This crushes your productivity, and it's rude. Alerts set the tone that you don't care about anyone and that you're only focused on yourself. It's unprofessional to get them, whether it's taking time away from a client or your family, or it's distracting your team members. Number 3, stop being late. If you can't be on time for a meeting, then you need to cancel it. You should be showing up 5 minutes early and be fully ready to go and prepared. And this comes down to a lack of discipline. If you're not disciplined enough to show up to a meeting on time, then you're not disciplined to do what it takes to get to the top of the profession. This also applies to ending your meetings on time. Number 4, stop looking for problems and start looking for opportunities. You can't blame a third party as to why you're not successful. Stop making excuses too. It's easy to fall into that victim mindset. So you can either tell yourself stories or look at successful people and look at what they're doing as an opportunity. Number 5, stop going with the flow and just letting things happen by accident instead of intentionally. Stop doing things as they've always been done. Step back and look at the best way that you need to do something and work a process from there. And if you've always done something a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong, but you need to look to see whether it's actually serving you. Processes are hard to make, but it's those successful advisors who are taking the time to create them. And they end up benefiting you, your team, and your clients because it sets those expectations. And if you end up abandoning your processes, your results are going to suffer. Number 6. Now, the guy said that this one will really set you aside because no one wants to do this. Stop practicing in front of prospects and clients. Think about how many times you've walked into a meeting and you haven't practiced out loud and done role-playing before that meeting. Make sure that you're practicing with your team as well. It can be uncomfortable to do this, especially when you're recording yourself because everything changes at that time because then you have that pressure. But consider recording and then having somebody else watch it. And number 7, last, stop listening to so-called experts. These are the people who mean well, but they aren't the ones who are meeting with prospects and clients, and they aren't risking rejection. You don't want to listen to those who aren't willing to go into the arena or who aren't doing things at multiples of what you're doing. It's different to just read about something and then actually apply it. Let's get into action items. Pick one of the 7 things that were shared and stop doing them. And keep this front and center, but also look at this on the positive side. What are you going to be intentional about? Who is your mentor? Who is someone that you can use as an internal lens to see what they would do? And then you need a coaching program. Reach out to us at lifestyletheperfectre.com to learn more about our Backstage Pass and Invictus programs so that we can help you get to your next level. On Wednesday, Matt was joined by his friend and advisor Sten from Elite Advisor Network to talk about the significant value that advisors can deliver to clients. Sten is the master at writing things out in crayon to clients, and shared that there's a lot of head trash around advisors' value. So he's on a mission to shake things up and explore the possibility of adding substantial amounts of revenue to business while also providing exceptional value to clients that will compel them to take action. Sten believes that clients need a compelling problem to capture their attention. He's concerned that many advisors are focusing on product-based solutions rather than encouraging clients to take that timely action. This can happen if you haven't demonstrated your value or the potential impact of how you can help a prospect. Sten teaches advisors how from that first contact, you want to create a different impression and such a unique experience that people want to meet with you again. He then shared various concepts and strategies that he teaches, including an investment decision filter and a 3-bucket approach. Sten emphasized the importance of teaching clients something new and providing them with valuable insights early on in the meeting. And when you do that, you change the entire filter when they go to talk to another advisor. Sten also encourages advisors to adopt an abundance mentality and to be generous in sharing your knowledge and expertise. He highlighted the power of being able to quantify value to a prospect. By doing that and showing tangible benefits, advisors can bridge that trust gap and ultimately motivate clients to take action. Sten also said that by quantifying your value, you're communicating to the client that you're worth way more than your fee, and it actually helps the advisor understand their own value. He said it's really our lack of belief in ourselves that's stopping us. That results in lower fees, but it also stops clients from taking action. Sten also talked about the significance of getting inspiration from experts in other fields, such as attorneys or CPAs. He said rather than seeking referrals, he's interested in idea-sharing partnerships, where he's leveraging another person's expertise to generate new business. Sten wrapped up by talking about his use of a whiteboard and giving these explanations to clients in a very simplified way. But he said this is an art form, so you need to practice it. Don't just go in blind. Be concise and direct, and this can end up being a superpower. Let's get into action items. On September 18th and 19th, Sten will be hosting a live event on learning how to start charging for your advice and building a 6-figure planning business. You can view the link to sign up for this in our show notes from Wednesday's episode. Realize that you don't have to give things away for free and that people are happy to pay you for the value you provide. And think about how you would hold up against another advisor. What if every prospect you met with was also meeting with Sten or Matt? What type of game would you need to bring to the table, and how are you going to deliver even more value? Lastly, make sure that you're heavily investing in something for yourself and your business. On Thursday, Jamie talked about whether it's better to be an expert in one subject or know a lot of every subject. Jamie's recommendation is to be an expert in one subject, and that the byproduct of becoming an expert, when you deep dive into one subject matter, is that you have to learn so many things, and that will end up increasing your knowledge overall. So she said after you get your degree and your designation, then what does it really mean? She said a lot of those designations are really broad. So for people who are looking to level up, especially for those who are just starting out, maybe focus on just one particular area and becoming an expert in that one subject, and that will help propel you forward. This is what leads into your niche. I know. Is it niche? Is it niche? I've said both. So today we're going to go with niche. So niche is talked about a lot when it comes to marketing. And Jamie said you need to think about whether what you say is your niche is actually your niche and who you're targeting. Jamie then took a deep dive into this. And her first question, and the big question, is to look at who do you serve? An exercise for this is that you need to identify your ideal customer avatar or profile. Jamie said people tend to use default language with this instead of really looking at your book of business to see who do you serve. You want to create your client avatar and don't try to finesse this. Just use the facts by looking at your book of business. So look at average age, average account size, gender, and occupation by industry. And for people who are stumped on this, Jamie will draw a circle and ask whether they work on Earth, Mars, or the Moon. And then she'll mark Earth. And don't laugh, she said this actually helps. Then she'll narrow it down by country, and then the area within the country. And then she said that you can start getting narrower and narrower. And it gets your brain in motion to really narrow things down and problem solve. From there, you'll look at your income level and take into account where you're the most comfortable. And that means that you don't necessarily have to be reaching for those big clients. Consider their education level, and for Jamie, she loves entrepreneurs who may not necessarily have a formal education, but they've worked various jobs to get to where they are now. Once that avatar picture is painted, You then need to move into specific pain points and problems that those people need solved. This is what's super important. Once this is defined, then your marketing content will be outlined forever. Figure out what those pain points are that specific demographic is trying to solve, and then how do you as the financial professional solve that problem for them? Jamie said people aren't looking for you to be the hero. Instead, you need to be the guide and the one that helps the hero, your client, along the way in their story. You can guide them to make the decisions to empower them towards financial freedom. Then go back and analyze their buying behaviors and preferences. How are they influenced to make decisions? What do they need to feel confident that they've made the right decision? Consider how you're doing little touches to fit your demographic. And you want to analyze how you're delivering your product and services in a way that responds to those individuals that you're marketing to. You need to speak to what your audience wants in order to build trust with them. One of the last questions you need to ask is what's their preferred communication channel? How and when and where do they digest and receive that information? Once you have a comprehensive description of your avatar, then you can look at how to target your marketing. You also need to compare what, if any, difference there is between the avatar that your data shows and what your preferences are. And if there's a difference, you need to resolve that. Then become an expert in one particular field. And that doesn't mean that you can't take a client on that somewhat differs, but your efforts and energy will be focused on that one area of expertise. Jamie said you can't grow your practice without marketing. And remember, if you serve everyone, you serve no one. Let's get into action items. If you have an existing practice and have been in business for more than 5 years, give your relationship managers or operations team instructions to come up with the avatar. Then you come up with your own and see if there's a difference between who you think you serve and who you actually serve. And paint your client avatar. Lastly, I'm excited to share that you can enjoy a full week of learning by joining the Perfect RIA for our next Invictus Mastermind and Retirement Tax Services for their Tax Summit, the week of September 25th in Las Vegas. Reach out to us at lifestyletheperfectria.com for more information and registration. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me for today's Follow-Up Friday. Please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or a team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect RIA.